Hey YouTubers, this is Robb Moffett. Guys, we're going to do something kind of different today. I'm going to do a book review. It's one of my favorite books. It's by Barbara Ann Kipfer, and it's 14,000 Things to Be Happy About. Kipfer wrote her book back in 1990, and she recently came out with a new edition, but I kind of like the old one. It's more politically incorrect. She has 14,000 things in the book that makes her happy. And the wonderful thing about this book is that when you read it, even though a lot of the things in the book don't connect with you or don't connect with me when I read it, because this is a very personal book. It's about what makes her happy, not what she thinks should make other people happy. And she's been very honest about it. She doesn't write what she thinks she wants other people to think she is made happy by. She's very honest about what over her life has made her happy. And she wrote down 14,000 things. Well, actually, she's got about 100,000 things, but she collected them over the years since she was a little kid. And she wrote them down. And I keep saying I'm going to tell you what the great thing about this book is, and I haven't got to it yet. I better get to it now before you turn off the video. The cool thing about the book is that when you read it, even though some of it doesn't connect or you don't even understand it, because it is written for a woman's personal point of view who comes from a certain socioeconomic background of a certain time period in a certain region of the country. So it's not going to connect with you 100%, but every once in a while you're going to read something that she wrote down that made her happy, and it's going to connect with you, and you're going to remember that this is something that in your life, maybe a long time ago, maybe recently, maybe right now, but it's something more than likely you're not paying attention to or you've forgotten about that definitely makes you happy. It's something that reconnects with the time, a period in your life, with people in your life, with situations, with celebrations, with travel, with work, with just being alive, that you've completely forgotten about. So even though you might have to read a couple of pages of something that you may not connect with or maybe even understand or recognize or know what she's talking about, eventually she's going to hit on something that is going to bring tears to your eyes because you've forgotten completely about this and how it made you feel and how big a part of your life it was, or maybe it was something tiny and small that you never paid much attention to, but that it is something really cool and it's valuable and it makes you feel good. It's a completely wonderful, surprising book. And there's 14,000 things in there. Imagine if you wrote down what was 140 things that made you happy. She's got 14,000. And I can read this book at night before I go to bed for 5 or 6 pages, and what it does, I think it kind of helps the brain, because we live in a society now, if you're on the internet all the time, there's so much bad news, there's so much terrible things, there's so much to worry about and to ponder, and you forget about the life that you're living and the world you're in and the things that you've done and the person that you are. And when you read all these things that make Barbara Ann Kipfer happy, they start coming home. They start making your mind remember all the things that are positive and good and wonderful, and they make you happy. And it sort of rewires and refigures the brain a little bit. And I sleep a lot better, and I wake up feeling better. It's a wonderful book. And like I said, it's so full of surprises. You don't know what's going to she's going to write and what memory is going to pop up next. And sometimes when you read something and it does connect, like I said, it almost brings tears to your eyes because you've forgotten about it, and you don't know how long it's been since you remembered it. Maybe it's something when you were a tiny kid. Maybe it's something when you were in love for the first time, or when you were your family, or in the celebration. It's a wonderful book, full of surprises, full of things that make people happy. And like I said, this is from a woman's point of view, so if you're a guy, you're not going to connect with half of it. But it doesn't matter. Eventually, you're going to be reminded of something that is going to touch you just on a human level. It doesn't matter how old you are or where you live. If you're a human being, this has something for you. I'm going to read just a few pages. I'm just going to take a couple pages at random, open up the book, and I'm just going to read. And like I say, some of these things, I have no idea what she's talking about. Some of them don't apply to me. Some of them, I don't know what they are. Some of them, there's no connection at all. But some of them, I know are going to smack me right in the forehead. So let's start from page 119. Lawn swings. New posters. New Jersey. Occasionally in the book she'll write down a state and she'll think of things that are happy about that state. So in New Jersey she has Crossroads of the Revolution, Miss America, Wild Orchids, Pixie Moss, Atlantic City. Next is Sewing Cards for Kids. A windsock. A windsock makes me happy. I think of airplanes on a small airfield. Down quilts. Joys and vicissitudes. I should remind you or let you know that Miss Kipfer is also a PhD in linguistics, and she is a fanatic on words. She works in artificial intelligence and dictionaries, so she has a love for the language. Haley Mills, actress. Okay, I've got to stop here. Haley Mills is an actress I haven't thought about in a long time. She was in the movie The Truth About Springer, where she and her father would travel around on an old sailboat, and they would get in trouble with other people on sailboats, and they would go to an island and go to this big hole in the ground that they dug where they put cans of food. She was a prepper, and they kept stuff down below, and they would restore their boat full of stuff as they needed, and they would have a lot of adventures on their sailboat. That was a really cool movie that nobody else in the world probably remembers, but yeah, that made me happy. That was a cool movie. Buying yourself a toy. Cryptograms. Flying kites in March. Yeah. When's the last time you flew a kite? We always did it in March. Pizza sauce. A belt-busting meal. Yep, that'll make you happy. No curl bacon cookers. A Victorian wicker sewing stand. I have no idea. Leaving fresh cookies for Santa. Yeah, we did that, didn't you? Everybody did. Meat broiled in a fireplace by holding it over a bed of hot coals on the end of a long, sturdy fork. She does go over a lot of food in her book, and I love food, and it rings true on a lot of these entries. Italian red wine and sticks of sesame seeds, cornmeal and flour. Peach creme, I have no idea. Playing hide and seek in the park. Having a dictionary by the bed. Slam of a screen door. Yes, if you're poor growing up as a kid, no air conditioning, screen door, summertime, slamming it. Yeah, it's getting dark. Your mom is calling out for everybody to come to dinner. Slam of a screen door. Thawing out hamburger. Yeah, that reminds me of my mom. Autumncades. I have no idea what that means. Traveling and viewing. Not traveling, but traveling and viewing. Yeah, sitting on Amtrak, going through little towns, going through factory towns, seeing parts of town nobody sees anymore. Seeing America. Yeah, viewing. A brass and black enameled steel piano lamp. Don't know what that is. Clambering over rocks. Yep. Diapers and baby food. Snap purses. No. Starflowers. Fearing that everyone thinks you picked the awful tune coming from the jukebox. When we were kids, we would go to the jukebox and put in half a dozen quarters and play the same tune 10 times and watch the reactions of other people. It was funny. Grand slams. Heart-shaped ottomans. Classic oxblood pumps. Public transportation. You see, I think she grew up in a time and a place where that was something you could do and be happy about it. And not get worried about getting killed. Tablecloths. A baked out back cake. Don't know what that means. Baby cereal. Open-faced sandwiches. Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Dorothy Lamour, and the Road Pictures. Picking out landmarks. Rice-strewn suitcases. Corn equal riches. Rice Krispie marshmallow treats. A champagne breakfast. Backpacking. Old-time roller towels. Cider in a jug and bourbon in hip flask. French vanilla sheets. One-piece bowl and sandwich plate for soup and sandwich. An archaeological dig. Opening a nearby window to let in sounds and smells of spring. We used to have windows that had these big lead weights and the sashes on the side, and you'd open them up. And the screens were made out of copper. And the roof was made out of cedar shingles. And you'd sit up there on the second floor and watch the rain come and pound down on the roof. And the rain would come through the windows and you'd smell it. Preventive medicine. See-through disc of cucumber sprinkled with vinegar and salt. Rosy cheeks. The book that made a difference. Overdue library books. I've got 2 library books. One I checked them out in 3rd grade in the 1960s and they're still overdue. One was on sailing and one was on snorkeling underwater. Well, you wouldn't snorkel above the water, but The First 5 Fathoms by Arthur C. Clarke, who wrote 2001. I need to take those back one day. I think the library's gone. The collar never folded down on a cotton turtleneck. The natural path that clings to the cliffs high above the sea. Growing up in Miami, we don't know anything about that. Red checked shoelaces. Bad dining hall meals. The pinch marks on the end of hot dogs. I've never noticed the pinch marks on the end of hot dogs. I bet you guys have never done it either. The sound of the wind. Yeah. Howling through the sound of in the eaves and through the windows or out on the ships. And the rigging. The sound of the wind. Yep. When mellow days turn into brisk evenings. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Trees, the quick change artists of fall when the cattle stomp and chew and swish their tails as if to keep warm. An epiphany. Brentano's bookstores. Cheap Hawaiian shirts. I've got a couple. When someone throws you a curve. Checking out a new grocery store. The cool, shimmering mist that fishermen know on inland lakes. Yeah. You read these. A dozen pages at night before you go to bed. Some of these are going to be relatable. They'll make you remember. They'll make you feel good. They'll make you think about people and places and things from a long time ago. I recommend this book. You can go on Amazon, but you can get the library for nothing. But if you go on Amazon, you can get them for a penny plus shipping. I recommend the one from 1990. It's still 14,000 things, but it's a little bit politically incorrect. You might read a couple things that people shouldn't be happy about anymore. The new one's from 2014. So that's my book review for this week. And I don't know if I'll be doing it anymore, but I haven't done any in a couple of years. And it just made me happy to do one. All right, guys. I hope you check out this book. I hope you start thinking about what makes you happy. And stop worrying about stuff and start living in the present. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for listening.